Let's continue our journey of learning trigger context variable in this video as well. So we are going to learn few more trigger context variable, and some of these you already know, although we haven't discussed them in detail. The first variable that we are going to discuss is called new, which gives you a list of new versions of record. For example, if you modify an existing lead record, then in the new context variable, you are going to get the new version of that record which is being modified. So this is going to give you the list of S objects, or let's say list of lead records if the trigger is running on the lead object. This context variable is available in before insert, after insert, before update, after update, and after undelete trigger. It's not available in delete trigger. Now, very similar to this new context variable, we also get another context variable which is called new map, which gives you a map of ID and S object. So this means if the trigger is running on the lead S object, then you will get a map of ID and lead record. The only difference between new and new map is the new context variable gives you the list, where the new map gives you a map of ID and that particular S object. So this can be very helpful in some cases where you want to match the current record's new version and the old version. In that case, you will also need the ID along with the record. So as you have already guessed, if we get new and new map, then we also get old and old map, which gives us the old version of records. So if you use old context variable, then you are going to get a list of old versions of record. And if you use old map, then you are going to get a map of ID and S object of the old versions of record. So now we are going to modify our lead trigger a bit, and we are going to use some of these context variables. So let's go back to our Salesforce org and discuss the requirement first, and then we are going to implement it in our developer console. Here is our lead record, and my requirement is you should not be able to close a lead record with either closed converted status or closed not converted status until and unless that record is in working status. So if the current status is open, then we should not be able to close this lead directly. So right now you can see that we can close it, but we are going to implement this solution in our developer console, which is going to prevent the user from closing the lead record if it is not in working status. So let's go back to our developer console, and this is how our trigger looks like at the moment. I'm also going to copy this condition and I'm going to add it here just to make sure if the lead source is not blank, and then let me delete it. I'm going to add a comment here. It should be blank. And now our requirement says if lead is in working status, then only we should be allowed to close that particular lead. To implement this, we are going to use our old map context variable along with trigger.new. So I think now this statement makes sense to you, because this trigger.new gives you the new version of all the records which are being modified in this particular trigger. So now I'm going to add one more condition here. So I'm going to use one more if condition, and let's say if the lead record, if the new version of the lead record is either having a status as closed converted or closed not converted. So let me copy these values from setup. Let's find our lead object here. Let's go to fields and relationships, and then let's check out our status field, which is this one. So if the new values are either closed converted or closed not converted, then we need to check the old value as well. And if it is not working, then we are going to throw an error. So let me paste it here. We are going to use OR as well. And we need to make some change here because we want to match the status field. So it should be status. Let's copy this one more time, paste it here. So yeah, if the new values are closed converted or closed not converted, and so now I'm going to use my AND operator here. after these two conditions which are joined by an OR operator, and my end condition would be checking for the old status value. So again I'm going to copy this line, but instead of checking the lead records value, what I need is I'm going to use the old map, and I'm going to get this lead record from the old map, which is going to give us the old value of the same lead record. So this is how we are going to do it. We are going to do trigger.oldMap, and since that map has the ID and S object value, to get the same lead record we are going to use this lead records ID. So it will be like old map, and then we are going to use the get method which comes from the map class, and we are going to get it with the help of the lead records ID. So now this part of the statement is going to give me the old version of the same lead record, and now I can match its status value using the dot operator, and the status should be the working one. So let's copy that value and paste it here. Now we need to throw our error, but I think I made a mistake in the condition. So let me translate this condition again in plain English. So what we are trying to do here, if the current status value is either closed converted or closed not converted, and the previous state value of the same lead record is working contacted, then in that case we want to throw an error, but it shouldn't be working contacted. Actually it should be open not contacted. So if the previous status value is this one, then we should not be able to close our lead record. So let me paste this one here. So in this situation we are going to throw an error to the user. So I'm going to copy this error line, and this time I'm going to throw an error on the status field instead of directly throwing an error to the lead record itself. So if you remember in the previous video where I explained this add error method, I told you that we can throw an error directly on the record or on the field as well. So this time I'm going to throw the error on the status field, and I'll say you cannot directly close an open lead record. So this should be either working or some other closed status. But if you are directly closing it from the open status, then we shouldn't be allowed to do so. Now let me save this code. Hopefully it should work. Let's go back to our lead record. Right now it's already in closed status, so I'm going to change it back to the open one, and we shouldn't see any error in that. So let me save it. So yeah, we are able to change our status from closed to open, but if we'll try to change it to closed now, doesn't matter which closed status you choose, either closed converted or closed not converted, we shouldn't be able to do so. Yeah, so here we get the error directly on the status field, and it says you cannot directly close an open lead record, but we can change it to working, and we can save it, and then we can change it to close one without any issue. So let's close it now, and we should be able to close the lead record. So this is how you can use the new and new map context variable, and also old and old map context variable. Just remember when you need to use the new versions of values and when you need to get the old versions of the same S objects field values. So that's all in this video. In the next video we are going to learn the last few context variables.